The auction hall reeked of desperation and greed. Beneath the harsh neon lights of Station Gamma 7, dozens of species gathered to bid on salvaged goods, rare minerals, and the occasional exotic companion. Captain Marcus Chen stood at the back, his weathered hands wrapped around a cup of synthetic coffee that tasted like regret. He wasn't here for the usual merchandise. After 30 years hauling cargo across the outer rim, Marcus had seen enough suffering to last several lifetimes. But something about today's auction manifest had caught his attention. Specifically, Lot 247. The auctioneer, a bloated Vorthak with tentacles that writhed as he spoke, gestured dramatically toward the holding pens. Next up, we have a damaged Zephyrian female, neural pathways compromised, unable to perform standard telepathic functions. Starting bid, 50 credits. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. The Zephyrians were renowned throughout the galaxy for their incredible psychic abilities, living conduits of pure mental energy who could interface with any technology, translate any language instantaneously, and project thoughts across vast distances. They were also fiercely protected by galactic law, which made their presence at a slave auction particularly disturbing. The girl was led onto the platform by two burly guards. She couldn't have been more than 20 by human standards. Her pale blue skin marked with the distinctive silver neural patterns that ran like circuitry along her arms and neck. But where those patterns should have glowed with inner light, they remained dull and lifeless. "Look at her," sneered a Calaxian trader in the front row. "Completely defective. Can't even maintain basic neural resonance." "Waste of oxygen," agreed his companion. "Zephyrians without telepathy are basically useless." The bidding was lackluster. Marcus watched as the price crawled upward, 50 credits, 75, 100. The girl stood motionless, her large violet eyes staring at nothing, seemingly unaware of her surroundings. 100 credits, called the auctioneer. "Going once, going twice." 500 credits. Marcus's voice cut through the murmur of the crowd. Heads turned toward him, expressions ranging from confusion to amusement. The auctioneer's tentacles quivered with excitement. 500 credits from the human! Any other bids?" The hall fell silent. 500 credits was more than most would pay for a functional hyperdrive, let alone a broken alien girl. "Sold to the human!" An hour later, Marcus led the girl aboard his freight hauler, the Stellar Wanderer. She followed without resistance, her movements mechanical and precise. He'd purchased her legal documents, falsified, no doubt, that listed her name as Zara 7739. Even her designation was dehumanizing. "You can call me Marcus," he said gently as they entered the main cabin. "What would you like me to call you?" She didn't respond, settling into a corner and pulling her knees to her chest. Marcus had worked with traumatized survivors before. Patience was key. For the first 3 days of their journey to the human colonies, Zara remained silent. Marcus brought her meals, left books and tablets nearby, and spoke to her regularly about their destination, the stars outside, anything to establish a connection. She ate mechanically and slept curled in the same corner. On the 4th day, Marcus was running diagnostics on the ship's navigation system when he encountered a problem. The quantum processor was throwing error codes he'd never seen before, and his translation software couldn't parse the alien programming language. "Damn Altarian code," he muttered, pulling up manual after manual. "Might as well be written in ancient Vulcan." "It's not Altarian." Marcus spun around. Zara stood. In the doorway, her violet eyes focused on his screen. "The base code is Zeridian," she continued, her voice soft but clear. "They use inverted logic matrices. Your diagnostic protocols are reading the errors backwards." Marcus stared at her. "You can read this?" "Of course. I'm not broken." Her voice carried a note of quiet dignity. "My neural patterns are different." not damaged. I see connections others miss, patterns within patterns. The Zephyrians called it a defect because I couldn't project thoughts the traditional way. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. They sold you because you were different, not broken. Zara nodded. Different is dangerous to those who profit from conformity. Over the following weeks, Marcus learned the truth about his passenger. Zara possessed a unique form of telepathy. Instead of broadcasting thoughts, she could perceive the underlying patterns that connected all things. She could see the flow of data through computer systems, predict equipment failures days in advance, and understand the intentions of others by reading the subtle patterns in their behavior. "Your species fascinates me," she told him one evening, as they watched hyperspace stream past the viewports. "Most races fear what they don't understand, but humans see potential." "We see people," Marcus replied simply, "not functions or abilities. People." When they reached the human colony world of New Geneva, Marcus made Zara an offer. "I could use a partner, someone who sees patterns I miss. The Wanderer could use someone who understands her quirks better than I do." Zara smiled, the first genuine expression he'd seen from her. "I would like that, Marcus Chen." Years later, Captain Chen and Navigator Zara became legends along the Outer Rim. Their ship never suffered equipment failures, never fell prey to pirates, never got lost in the maze of hyperspace routes. Trade agreements that had eluded diplomats for decades were solved in days when Zara identified the underlying patterns of conflict and mistrust. But Marcus's greatest pride wasn't in their success. It was in watching Zara flourish. She trained other defective Zephyrians who found their way to human space, teaching them that different didn't mean broken. She established sanctuaries for those fleeing persecution, and her network of pattern readers became crucial to human expansion into the galaxy. "You saved me," she told him one day, 10 years after that auction on Station Gamma 7. Marcus shook his head. "I just saw what was already there. Humans have a saying, one person's trash is another's treasure. But you were never trash, Zara. You were always treasure. Everyone else was just too blind to see it." In the end, that was humanity's greatest strength. Not their technology or their military might, but their ability to see worth where others saw waste, to find value in what others discarded. They called her broken and sold her for nothing. But one human saw her true worth, and that made all the difference in the galaxy.